Welcome back, coders. In our last episode, we installed 10 JDKs in 15 minutes. In this episode, we're going to start with our first web application project. We're going to learn how to create an API. We're going to learn how to consume an external API. And for a bonus, we're going to create a web component that calls our API and consumes the external API. This web component is also responsive, so that you can drop it in your markup in your application, and your users will have a nice experience. All right, let's get started. Okay, the first thing you need to do is create a new project, select web application, click next, give it a name, in this case OpenAI API, click next. You're going to be asked to choose a server. In this case, I already have a server installed. If you don't have one, you can simply click on add, and this wizard will allow you to download a server. Click finish, wait for the archetype to do its magic, and once you have your project open, just familiarize yourself with the structure. You can view the project in the Projects tab or in the Files tab. In this case, let's open the Files tab so that you can see the whole structure. In this case, you have the relevant files for our case are the POM.xml, which takes care of your dependencies. This is a very basic HTML page. You have your web.xml that it's not strictly needed, but the archetype creates it for you. The beans.xml that allows you to create beans and have them be discovered automatically. You also have persistence.xml, which is only going to be used when we deal with databases. We have the configuration. This is the basic configuration of our application. This is the base path of our API. And in this case, this archetype creates the very basic endpoint that returns simply a ping. If you want to see how this works, simply hit play and wait for this to be deployed in your server. Once this deploys, you can see in the server tab in the output the status of the deployment. And in our case, the page is open. I'm going to switch to this page, and here we go. First, hello world coming from our own application. This hello world comes from the web app that says hello world here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open these two side by side, and I'm going to change this so that you can see what this changes. As you can see, this is the code that we're serving. As you can see, this looks nothing like our finished application. We still have a ways to go and some work to do, but in the next videos, we're going to be completing this. I'm thinking about maybe one or two more videos so that you can see the back end and the front end as a separate episode. There's one thing missing. We have our HTML that is coming from our index, but we haven't seen the endpoint that comes from our base application. So the base is resources / JakartaEE 10. So if we go to resources JakartaEE 10, then we get the response from the ping. And I think this is where I'm going to end this video, but I'm going to leave you with a few ideas. And if you have any preference, I would really thank you if you could maybe leave a comment and tell me which part would you be most interested in watching. All right, so I'm also going to leave you all the ideas I had for the beginning. So those are all the options. And if you have any other options, you can also leave them in a comment. All right. And for the UI, we're also going to learn how to link dependent UI elements so that we can switch back and forth. And we're also going to analyze the OpenAI API because this platform is evolving. So we need to figure out how to structure our application. We need to learn how to structure our project so that it can evolve alongside the OpenAI API. These images are generated using their API, but I have to warn you, these images are not free. Every time you generate an image, it costs like 2 cents, 5 cents, 8 cents, 10 cents, I don't know. It depends on what you select for your preferences. And I'm going to show you how to make download buttons for these images depending on different response formats. And the download buttons also adapt to the content of the result, so that if you have a dark result, it goes more towards the green. If it has a more lighter background, it goes more towards crimson. And if you have a background that has multiple colors, it'll adapt to that as well. All right, I'm not gonna do everything in this video. So you're gonna have to comment what parts are you most interested in so that we can start making short videos for each part of the application. The application itself is not very large. And as I said, since the API has a cost to it, we're going to first start with a mocked version of the API. And once we're satisfied, we can switch to the real API.